Welcome to the 2017 Conference USA Kickoff presented by Under Armour Day 2. And today we look at the teams from the East. Hi again, everybody. I'm Ron Thulin. Glad you're with us today. We're going to be going through the East, the coaches, and players. And first up is Charlotte. Charlotte, of course, last year finished 4-8. They lost their last 3 games, but 2 of the last 3 by 7 points or less. They are the first time they are going to be playing without the original 19 players on the team since they started and came into the FBS. Joining us is Brad Lambert. Brad, good to see you again, my friend.
Good, Ron.
Also joining us is the quarterback for this coming season, Hassan Klue. Hassan, good to have you with us today.
Thank you.
And also Carrington King, the linebacker. I want to start with you. One of the things about the website, and a lot of people are talking, you were so close last year. I mean, when you go down those games, you were close to having a winning record. But now it's next. Tell us what that means.
Well, you know, it's what's next for our program, who's the next player. You know, we lost that first class. Everything was kind of centered around that original class. That was how we started our program. And so now we want to just, you know, we got to move on and move forward in 2017. And so, you know, what's the next step for us? Who's the next group of players that are going to step up? Hassan Klue, Carrington King, Trent Bostic, those guys. So we're really, you know, making a push on that. And 2017 is about how hard we've worked since January and setting ourselves up for success this fall.
Well, one of the things that you and I have talked about in the past, and when you first got the job and you were here, you told me you're not going to go the quick fix route building the program. You've spent a lot of time redshirting a lot of players, and that is coming to fruition right now. And these players, it's time for them to step up.
It is, no question, Ron. And we, you know, last year's class was really old. We had an old football team last year, and we still have a lot of guys back. So I think that was our plan all along, similar to what we did at Wake Forest when under Coach Grobe there. So we want to always have some old guys in our program and good leaders as they come up. And Carrington's one of those guys. You know, he's been here since the beginning in 13, and you know, so it's his time, and we need to continue on this track and continue to take the next step and progress toward bowl eligibility.
Not only will Brad be the head coach, he'll also be the defensive line coach. I asked him why, and it's got to be tough though, because now you've got to have more time management, I would think. Talk about why you did it.
Yeah, no question. Well, the timing of the change was really the driver in that situation. I didn't want to bring somebody in new in June that didn't know our system. Our kids didn't know the coach. So it was easier for me. I've coached that position before, and I did it, you know, in 14. I coached the linebackers when Carrington in 2014. So, you know, coaching defense for me is like riding a bike. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It will be a little stressful time-wise, but got good help in the office, so I think it's going to work out good.
Let's talk about the offense, because they are a run-first offense, and all the passing game comes off your ability to run the football. You have a quarterback now that's able to run. What does he bring to the offense?
Well, you know, Hassan has just been fabulous. He's just you know, as quality person as you want in your program, and that's always the first and foremost. But he's a guy that has the ability to throw the ball and get himself out of trouble, and has improved as a passer. I really like where Hassan is right now. We are, you know, we want to be able to establish the run game. Hassan allows us to do that. We can, you know, have some quarterback design runs, and yet at the same time he has the ability to throw the ball down the field, and so we're really fortunate we've got a guy like Hassan who can do both things.
When I look at your offense, one of the things that stands out, and I may be wrong, and correct me if I am, do you need a deep threat?
Yeah, well, Austin has kind of always been – Austin Duke was always that for us. I think getting Trent Bostic back, he made a lot of big plays for us this spring. We had to redshirt him last year due to concussions. So he's had a good off season and summer and stayed. We got to get him through August with no more head injuries. But he's a guy that's really got a chance to push the ball down the field for us.
And he was the second leading receiver back in 2015. Now, you brought in Greg Adkins to work with the offensive line, specifically with the O-line.
Yes, Coach Adkins and I, he's been the O-line coach at Tennessee and was with us at Georgia and Marshall. He was most recently at Oklahoma State. He's got a vast resume of experience, you know, coaching tight ends and O-line. So I really am fortunate that we have him on our staff, and we were able to get him at Charlotte. He's a fabulous offensive line coach, and I think he'll really help us from a run game standpoint.
When you started spring drills, what was the emphasis offensively, what we needed to improve on? Because you were a very balanced attack last year.
Right.
But what did you say? We've got to make sure we improve on this.
Third down, you know, that was a big push for us, was third down. We didn't do a great job on third down last fall, I didn't think.
32%.
Yeah, and so that was a big emphasis for us. You know, how do we extend drives and continue to stay out there on the field offensively? And that was a big emphasis for us and a big area for Hassan, to make sure we make good decisions on third down and put ourselves in a position to extend drives.
Let's talk about defense, because defense, you only had 14 sacks in 2016. Is putting more pressure on a quarterback one of those things also, check mark, we have to work on?
Yeah, no question. You always want to apply pressure in everything you do, but you want to have balance as you do it. You don't want to just sell out and be all of blitz package or man package. So we want to have balance there. We did a better job of taking the ball away in 16 than we did in 15. So that's one area that we do need to improve on. We need to do a good job of putting guys in throwing situations so we know that we're getting a throw, because if you're not playing well on first or second down, then it's always third and medium or third and short. It's a little bit more difficult to put pressure on a quarterback when you don't know. So we've got to continue to put pressure on people on first and second down to put them in situations where we know they're going to throw the ball. And we're going to be young in the D-line.
Right.
We lost Larry and Brandon, and so that defensive line position is going to be pretty young. We got some good talented guys there, but just not much experience.
Well, you redshirted a handful of guys last year from the defensive line. Now they're going to be pushed into service, and I'm anxious to see how Zach Duncan responds. He had a strong freshman year, maybe dropped off a little bit last year. How's he look?
He did, and he's had a really good offseason in spring, and Zach's a guy that he needs to elevate his game, especially on the edge and the edge pressure, and he has the ability to do that. So he's had a really good offseason. I expect good things out of him come August.
Now, before I get to the players, one last question. I look, obviously, Carrington King leads the linebacking core. In one of the notes I wrote down, you lost a lot of talent at linebacker, including Nick Cook, who's now part of the staff. But I think you've got a lot of young guys there that have a great deal, an underlying great deal of potential.
Yeah, no question. Carrington leading that group. We've got Tyreek Harris, got a chance at outside backer. Jeff Gimmel's the guy I think that is really ready to take the next step. Played outside backer. We've kind of moved him inside now. Juwan Foggy's the guy we moved over from offense. So we've got some guys there. They're just going to have to – they just don't have a ton of game plays. So that's going to be the thing for them. They're kind of like the interior D-line, not a lot of game plays there. So we'll have to have those guys step up for us.
Let's talk to Hassan Klug, quarterback. You and I were chatting before about what you worked on in the summer, mainly reads, because the game, you come in, you start your first game, FAU, which was the first FBS victory, by the way, for Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But I watched you progress as the season went on. When it was all over, did you go back and look at tape at yourself and say, why did I do that, or gee, that was good?
I did. I mean, I'm a very hard critic on myself, but it's just looking at leverages and looking at different defenses and just seeing what they're doing. I got a lot better at it during the spring, and now that I go back and look at the old games, it's just like, how did I just miss that? But yeah, I mean, you live and you learn. So.
Well, I remember Coach Lambert telling me that he had a vision for this offense and this team, and that's why he made the change at quarterback for you. When he came up to you, or offensive coordinator Jeff came up to you and said, you're starting, what was your first thought?
My first thought was that I got to get this team a win, but the guys trusted in me. That whole week I stayed in the film room because I had to be prepared to play, It's a little different atmosphere, and so the team just, they just looked upon me and it was just like, Hassan, you the starter now, like, let's go get it. And just telling, like, Larry and those guys telling me that, it just gave me confidence to go out there and play.
Just don't be doing flips into the end zone, okay? I mean, please, it doesn't, my heart can't take that anymore. When you looked at it, did you go, what was I thinking? Or is it just, I got to get in the end zone?
Yeah, it was out of instinct. I mean, Austin went out in motion, and I saw that, the guy didn't stay in. He went right out with Austin, so I was like, oh, man, I guess I got to take this one.
Let's talk to Carrington King, linebacker, and one of the things I think that you will work on and have worked on in the spring and also coming in the fall camp, your leadership, because you are the man now that Nick Cook is gone. Something you want to do, be the leader.
Yes, sir, I do. Coach Lambert came up to me, as well as Coach Wale. He told me, just make sure you're a leader, make sure everybody's on the same goal, make sure there's a standard set for the defense, and that's pretty much what we've been focusing on.
How have your feet been? I mean, it sounds funny, but, he knows what I'm talking about here, because the footwork in a linebacker is so important.
Yeah, definitely. When you start, as soon as the ball snaps, you have to know where your foot is, like where your feet are or what reads are. Your eyes are just just as intact as your feet, so I have to go hand in hand. So Coach Lambert always tells us you can't one-legged man and
yeah, you can't say that.
Never mind.
I can't. I'm old enough. I go, whatever.
So you gotta make sure you're on both feet, and you gotta make sure you're balanced. Be ready to take on anything or make a good drop as well.
No, I've known Wally, Coach Matt Wallerstedt, a long time, and I noticed he's always liked to move fronts around and everything. Doesn't that make hand work even more important when you're moving those fronts?
When it comes to moving fronts, you pretty much have to know what they're doing. It's more of a mental thing than anything. Just because if you know what the D-line's doing, the offense will be surprised, and you'll be ready to go. As simple as that.
Do you realize how close you were last year to having a bowl season?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We watch film time and time again, all spring, all summer. It's the little things, as they always tell us, and we plan on making sure that's not the problem this year.
How about you, Hassan?
I do. I mean, it's plays here and there that I just feel like we one play away, you know. And I think that this year, you know, we really focused in on finishing, so I think that was going to help us.
One final question for you, Brad. Does this team have to find an identity?
No, I think our guys have established that from January when we set out to say, hey, look, we got to establish a work ethic that's second to none, and I think that's been the identity of this group. Every year the calendar turns. In 2017, you have a new team, and we had a lot of guys that established our program walk out the door, and now it's time for these guys to go out and continue that and take the next step, and that's what we want to do. And I think this team's identity is just really about how hard they've been working.
And it's going to be a very special season because Brad and Charlotte will be going to your alma mater, Kansas State, for a game and go against the professor, Bill Snyder.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting process going back there. I haven't been back there in a long time, and they've made so many changes, and Coach Snyder's done such a fabulous job. I mean, where he has that program is amazing, but it's going to be a lot of fun for our guys to, go in that environment and compete at a high level.
Well, you guys will like it because when you're driving into Manhattan, there's a statue of Brad Lambert
Yeah.
on there, and it's really great. You got to go by and genuflect when you go by.
That's right.
You guys will really enjoy it.
Yeah, okay.
Carrington, Hassan, Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks,
you guys
Ron.
stay
Appreciate
healthy.
you.
We appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
We'll continue our coverage of the 2017 Conference USA Kickoff presented by Under Armour right after this.